What's up, hello, my name is Emma, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my review of Renegades by Marissa Meyer. If you have been avidly watching my channel this year, you've probably heard me talk about Renegades before because it is one of my absolute favorite books of the year. I read it earlier this January for the Biblio Book Club, and I had no idea that it would become such an absolute favorite of mine. I didn't review it when I read it in January because I didn't go into this book planning on loving it so much, so I didn't take any notes, but I just re-listened to the audiobook. Side note, the audiobook is amazing, but I took some notes and planned a review for you guys, so now I get to just gush about how amazing this book is. If you haven't heard of Renegades, it takes place in a futuristic world full of superheroes. A brief history is that there was a time when prodigies started getting powers and they were oppressed. Then there was a time of anarchy led by this man called Anarchy. In order to stop the anarchists, a group of superheroes banded together to form the Renegades in order to restore order and sort of preside as the crime stoppers in this city. So now, many years later, we follow Nova Artino, who is a girl that has been brought up by other anarchists who has the ability to put people to sleep. And then we have Adrian, who is the son of the two heads of the Renegades and is a renegade himself. As the Renegades have no information about Nova's true identity, she becomes a renegade to infiltrate and bring the Renegades down from within, while Adrian has his own massive secret that he is sort of like a vigilante stopping crime in the way that he sees fit. I'm telling y'all now, I don't have a single negative thing to say about Renegades. I love every single small factor of this book. The world building and the history of this story is so rich and complex with so many different intricacies. I love the different types of superheroes that are in this story. Like, I am not a big superhero fan, but for some reason I just really connected with the world and the system of superpowers in Renegades. It's a fascinating plot propelled by super diverse and unique characters, and I just love every single thing about it. So if you have not read Renegades yet, I 100% recommend stopping this video, going on to read it, and then coming back to discuss it with me, because we are going to delve into spoilers because I need to gush about everything in this book. So go read Renegades, preferably listen to the audiobook, and then you will come back later, but bye non-spoiler people. I find the beginning of Renegades to be very gripping. I love that we have this prologue that really sets the atmosphere and tone of the story and delves into some of the history that is crucial, and then goes right into Nova's storyline as a kid, having her parents murdered while she is still in the home. Obviously, this childhood trauma is really integral to the person that Nova grows up to be. You know, when she's a kid and her parents are being attacked by this gang member, she is so insistent that the Renegades will come and the Renegades will save her, and she truly believed in them, and having that belief crushed really led her down the path that she is on now. I love the parade scene. That is definitely where my engagement to the story started, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the high intensity combat moments that I came here for. I love how we have the first interaction between Nova and Adrian where he fixes her bracelet just because he wants to do something nice for someone, and then we have the scene of Nova transforming into Nightmare and literally jumping across a building. The beginning is just really what showed me how much of a badass Nova was, and seeing her be like, it doesn't matter that I'm in the wrong space, I'm just gonna jump this real easy and then I'll end up killing the head of the Renegades, like no big deal. I love it. And I also love that Nova is an inventor. I feel like even in science fiction and fantasy, there are just not enough girls that are interested in math, science, technology, inventing. I just love how she makes her own weapons, how even when she's a kid, she's inventing new things, using syringes to create elevators for her dollhouse. I just think Nova's amazing. Like, I want to be Nova Artino. And I also like how her love for inventions plays into the story, not just to advance her role as like this super badass tough girl trying to bring down this huge organization, but also when she just wants to give Max something nice and recreates those hydro-powered elevators for his glass city. And when she's talking to Adrian, who's just like, I could have just drawn them to work, she's like, it's the process of taking something ordinary and turning it into something cool. I love it. There's this one little quote in the beginning that I liked. I don't remember exactly which anarchist says it or even why, but I just remember they're in the tunnels and someone is like, Are we villains or not? Like, being sarcastic from the point of view of the Renegades. I just really appreciated that moment. I like how they can be lighthearted and humorous about it. Also on topic with the dynamic between the Renegades and the anarchists, I really love this one moment after the Renegades have infiltrated the anarchist tunnels and they're trying to get information about Nightmare. There's just this one moment where one of them says, these are supposed to be the superheroes. And it's in reference to all of the damage and destruction they've caused for the greater good, like destroying Honey's hives just because she's an anarchist and trying to torture a false confession out of Ingrid. One of the things I really love about Renegades is their ability to have this conversation about different morals, but still understanding each person's perspective. Like from Nova the anarchist's perspective, she doesn't want to bring down the Renegades just because they are the people in power, but she believes that their role and the way that they are willing to do everything to clean up after society is making people lazy and unwilling to make a difference themselves. And she thinks that just overall society would be better off without any prodigies whatsoever. And then we have Adrian, who believes in the good that the Renegades do and does believe that there need to be people who are willing to make a difference and do good in the world. But he also doesn't really agree with the Renegades' methods because they are too confined to their rules and they don't take the risks that they need to in order to truly stop crime. And so I just love that our protagonists have two completely contrasting viewpoints of how society should be run and what is the role of superheroes, but you can't really fully disagree with one or the other. There's validity to both of their views, and I just love that. I love books like this that are just really intellectually stimulating. They pose a lot of different questions about morality and justice, and I think delving into those themes is just one of my absolute favorite parts of Renegades and why I think it's such a valuable story. Let's keep talking about the Renegades and the anarchists because I just love this dichotomy between their relationship. I just love the fact that the Renegades are this huge powerhouse. They get everything done. Everyone wants to please them. They're like rock stars in the world and they have all this power. They have every single advantage over the anarchists that is out there. They know their location. They know their identities. But the only thing they don't know is this one teenage girl's identity, and it causes so many problems for them, and it could truly be the downfall of the Renegades in future books. And I just love that. Give me more powerful girls. The scene where Nova burns her fingertips off because she doesn't want her prince to come up as being on Nightmare's gun when she's applying to the Renegades. Just so gruesome, but I love how she just doesn't even flinch. She is like, this is my calling, this is what I'm here to do, and I will do anything no matter what it takes to take down the Renegades. Ah, I love her. This is another quote I really love. Again, I don't remember who says it. I think it's Nova to Adrian, but she says, heroism wasn't about what you can do, it's about what you did. And I just feel like that so sums up the message and the themes of Renegades. I love the trial scene for a lot of reasons. The first one being how we really do get insight into the inner workings of the superpowers in this world. In the people who are trying out to be Renegades, we see a wide diversity of different powers that I feel so extends beyond what we normally see from these worlds with superhuman abilities. You know, we have the standard control over elements, I can fly, I'm invisible, but then you have just really bizarre and unique powers like being able to make paper cranes that come to life or bursting into butterflies. I just love how unique and innovative a lot of the different superpower abilities are because they just are so different from what I feel we normally see. And I think it's cool that even within the prodigies who are pretty much at like the top of society, there is this hierarchy over who is the most valuable to the Renegades and who is not, and they're sort of looked down upon not only by other prodigies but also the normal people in society who don't have superpowers and are judging them for their power not being good enough. It's just so fascinating. I love it. Another one of my favorite things about Renegades, because I just cannot stop saying all of it in this video, is the relationship, the romance between Adrian and Nova. Adrian and Nova perfectly fit into the enemies to lovers trope, which has been done a million times in YA, but one thing that really stands out about them is just how slow burning it is. I feel the pacing of their relationship and their growing feelings for each other is not only realistic, but it's also just so refreshing from a lot of the insta love that we see in similar books. Firstly, the only person that really knows that they're enemies is Nova. Adrian just thinks she's a normal girl, but even from there, they just have very normal interactions. They start by thinking one of them's cute, or that they're nice or funny, and then it just delves into some deeper feelings that even aren't really developed in Renegades, and I feel are going to be much more explored in the second and third book. Like, I don't even know if I could really say that Adrian and Nova are in love at the end of Renegades. I think they just have feelings for each other, and that is just something I don't typically read about and really enjoyed. I think the slow pace of how they grow closer and get to know each other and understand their fears and motivations is just really beautiful, and I would love to read more books about relationships like this. But I also love that Adrian 100% falls for Nova first. I feel like, you know, I've read a lot of YA and almost always the girl falls for the boy first, and it's so nice to see that gender flip there. You know, he brings her lunch, but not only does he bring her lunch, but he brings her like 6 different sandwiches because she doesn't know what she's going to like, and then he draws flowers for her house, and he just has all of these kind, sweet gestures that just show how soft of a man he really is, and I just love it. And I love Nova's resistance to respond to them because, of course, Adrian feels like he has nothing to lose. She's just this pretty girl that came into his life and he really likes her. But Nova is literally flirting with the enemy, and so she has to hold her back sometimes, but she is enchanted by these cute romantic gestures that just show how good of a person Adrian is, and I love it. Adrian and Nova are 100% one of my like top 3 OTPs. Like, I ship them so hard, and I just need them to be okay and live happily ever after together because they're so precious. Okay, side note, maybe I do have one thing in Renegades that I'm like, this is a little iffy, but this is something that happens to any character in books who is an artist. Adrian draws so fast. It doesn't make sense. I get that it's probably not the most effective use of page time to really focus on an accurate timeline of how long it takes someone to draw something, but he literally draws so fast. Like, I don't even think I could draw a stick figure in the amount of time he draws like a whole freaking horse. Like, he's done drawing a very elaborate picture in like 3 seconds. I don't know how good of an artist he could really be. Like everything in Renegades, I really love the library stakeout and the library fight scene. Again, I like how we're adding more layers onto the development of abilities and prodigies. Ruby talking about how her different trauma really impacted her power and her ability to create all of these gems. And we also find out that part of Nova's power and the reason that she hasn't been able to sleep is actually due to her PTSD of not having the support of her family when she was younger. I just really love how in this story of superheroes, it's not some like radioactive chemical that gives people superpowers. It's not something that just happens one day. Like, there's a reason for a lot of the people who have powers now, and I just think that's really fascinating. I also love the moments with Nova interacting with this little boy that she saves from the burning library, where he's like, "You're a renegade, of course I trust you," and he just like, without a hesitation, he believes that he's going to be saved by her, and how he gives her a hug at the end, and it creates all of these mixed feelings in Nova because she's never had this experience of someone really looking up to her, and it starts to really change her view of what it means to be a renegade. I love it. The one thing that I definitely missed the first time I listened to Renegades, but picked up on this time and think is really going to be important, the fact that Narcissa, who is I believe it's like the granddaughter or the niece of the librarian, she escapes through a mirror. Let me tell you, Narcissa is coming back. She is not done, and I have a feeling she's going to create a lot of problems for both the Renegades and the anarchists. Moving on into more of the investigation of Nightmare and Nova having to protect her identity through all of that. The scene where Adrian's team, including Nova, goes down to see Winston was so nerve-wracking. It was like the library all over again, where the librarian was like just about to tell Adrian that Nova was actually Nightmare, and she like got away by the thread of her hair. Now we have Winston, who is like a little goofy and he doesn't realize that, number one, at first I think he has trouble actually realizing that Nova is Nova, and there are just times when he like almost lets it slip, which is so funny. Oh, now I just got sad because I remembered what my next point is. But like when he's talking about the fact that he used to make shadow puppets for Nova to feel better and laugh when she was having a hard time as a kid, and he's like, remember that nah, like it's funny because he almost reveals her identity, but it's also so sad because you realize how badly Nova has been treating Winston from the start, and they really used to be friends. I wanted to just make a note that I'm fully aware that Winston is not a nice guy and he manipulates children, and there's a lot of things that he's done that is not okay, but still in that scene it's just really sad. And I think regardless of what we know of Winston and how bad of a person he is, it's still sad. Oh my god, my heart is breaking. And when Nova really asks herself, when did she become such an anarchist, I was just like, I'm done. My heart hurts. My phone possibly just broke, but I have feelings. I thought that was also just a very humanizing moment for Nova, where she really has to step outside of this role of like the cold-hearted anarchist who wants to kill all of the renegades with no remorse, and she starts to really see that like people have different motivations and they have their own feelings, and she might have not been as receptive to that in the past, and she starts to really change at this point. I just love it. Ooh, another really good moment when Nova is like doing her investigative stuff, trying to get some dirt on the renegades and find out how to bring them down. She finds out that Captain Chromium recorded the death of her parents but didn't make it in time to save them. So like he actually was on his way to save her, but it wasn't fast enough, and that's what matters to Nova. And it was just a really great moment in forwarding her character. Oh my god, the scene where Max is levitating and Nova recognizes that he's really powerful, and then he falls and then he gets hurt and she tries to save him, is just a roller coaster. I can't even sum everything up for you. Because one moment I'm like, oh my god, Adrian, my little baby with all of his sandwiches for his future girlfriend, but I'm also like, oh my god, Nova, like you can't be in there with Max. He is going to take away your powers. This is dangerous. He's obviously in quarantine for a reason. I have a lot of feelings. We find out that Max's power is that he can steal the abilities of prodigies, and that's why he has to be kept away from everyone else at the Renegades. The only person that he can really interact with is Captain Chromium because he's invincible to him. But when we find that out and everyone's starting to heal from the event, and we see that Max has inherited some of Adrian's powers but not them fully, my first thought is, oh my god, he can put people to sleep. This is how the Renegades are gonna find out that Nova is Nightmare. Honestly, I'm still shocked that didn't happen at the end of Renegades and Nova's identity is still protected by the end of it, but I'm very confident that Max did get some of Nova's powers from being in with her for so long, and is going to lead to the Renegades knowing that Nova is actually Nightmare. I swear by it. While we're on the topic of Max and all the cool things that he can do, we find out that the reason that the Age of Anarchy was broken and how Ace Anarchy was defeated is because Captain Chromium has little baby Max on his back and uses his powers to take away Ace Anarchies, and that's also why Max has the ability to levitate like Ace. I really can't believe that Captain Chromium used a baby to bring down like the biggest supervillain there ever was. That blows my mind. And also, knowing what I know about the end of the story, I really should have predicted that plot twist, because it says that Ace jumps into the fire and of course his body's never found, and I really should have picked it up, but I didn't that first time. Oh my god, back to gushing about Adrian. He's just so soft and sweet. I love him. I want more boys in YA like him, because he is like a true badass with some awesome superpowers, and he's always trying to do good, and he's even a little scary at some moments when he's in the Sentinel form. But like, oh my god, him drawing gifts for the kids at their birthday party, that was an adorable scene. I need more soft, romantic, happy moments in YA fantasy and sci-fi books, because it just made my life. I loved watching him draw all these gifts for these kids and just give them everything they could possibly want, and then having this other little girl go up to Nova and talk about how much Nova inspires her, how using just her own abilities and no superpowers at the trials makes her think that she could be a superhero one day. It is just a wholesome moment. So finishing out this novel, we have what I consider to be 3 really big moments of information reveal that we just need to go through and process right now. Number one, Nova puts together the fact that the Renegades are trying to harness Max's abilities in order to take away the powers of prodigies who don't deserve them. What? I'm still shook. I don't think I fully understood what this means and what all of the potential consequences of it are going to be in Arch Enemies, but like, it's gonna play a role. We're gonna see some development on how they're going to harness Max's powers, what is he gonna be used for, and how it might start interact with prodigies. And I'm just, Number two, this is another thing that I totally missed the first time I listened to Renegades because I was so focused on number three near the end that I like did not even pick up on this. So after everything has happened at Cosmopolis Park, she's doing better, Adrian is doing better, Ingrid is dead, the Renegades are sort of in shambles because of all of the destruction that's happened. Nova decides to go back to the anarchists' tunnels after they've all cleared out except for Phobia. And so Phobia says to Nova, "One cannot be brave who has no fear." And so if you miss the significance, like I somehow did that first time I read this book, Nova as Nightmare says that to Adrian when he's dressed as a Sentinel, which is really his driving force for why he wants to find Nightmare's true identity and find out who she is, because that is the quote that was found next to Lady Indomitable's body, who's Adrian's mother. So Phobia somehow is connected to the quote that was found with her body. Did he murder her? Was he a part of a group that murdered her? Like, what is this connection? I need to know. I'm still so shook that I missed that. For the 9 months that I had read Renegades up until I just reread it, I have feeling again. And finally we get to the biggest plot twist there is. The biggest thing that gives me all these feelings is that Ace Anarchy is alive. Not only is Ace Anarchy alive, that enough is enough. Whoosh! Wow, did not expect that. But Nova and all the anarchists know because she mentions that she hadn't gone to visit him in a while. So like, he's been alive this whole time and everyone knows, but he's been living in secrecy. I'm exhausted thinking about this. I can't. I don't know how to feel about this. I need context, I need information. What are they planning? It was just such a shocking ending. I cannot remember the last time I was so gripped by the last scene in a book. Like, wow. The first time I read Renegades, I was listening to it on audio while I was in my car, and just hearing that Ace was alive, I was just like literally slamming on my steering wheel like, no, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. Very dramatic by myself as I am. And then I re-listened to it like 4 or 5 times because I was like, I have to be sure that this is what is happening. Like, he's really alive. He's really alive, guys. So, that's a thing. That's how Renegades ends, and we have no further information about it. Arch Enemies comes out very soon. Thank the Lord. I just have so many feelings on Renegades, and it felt so good to film this review and just gush about everything I love about it with you guys. Rereading Renegades has really solidified it as like one of my favorite series of all time. As long as Arch Enemies and the third book hold up, like, I really have a strong feeling that Renegades could be an all-time favorite series of mine because of how much I just love it. I probably just sound like a broken record explaining why I love Renegades so much, but it really has had a profound impact on me. Reading it twice this year. I love this story so much. I cannot wait for the sequel, and I really hope you guys enjoyed watching me rant about it. In the comments below, of course, let me know all of your feelings on Renegades. I am dying to discuss this book with more people because I think it is just so amazing. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new video. Bye!